Well, I think today is the day that I think it's time to get started on this. So I've been just sitting on this for a while, and I think today is the day. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and move it right to the garage door, because I've been like the last couple weeks, months or so, there's always been a car like right here in the way. So I think it is time to go ahead. We can move this to the garage door, so that way as we're cleaning, we can, you know, be blowing all the stuff out. And man, we had a crazy storm last night. Like, this is crap off my roof, my shingle stuff. Like, we had one crazy storm last night. I mean, ain't nothing damaged out there, but it was so bad last night. Shingle dust. All right, let's go ahead and get this to the door, and then we're gonna go ahead and start cutting on this. So basically what we're gonna do is, let's move this out of the way. Got to get these brackets cut off right here, because the plate goes on top of there. We'll get this bracket cut off. We'll get this bracket, these brackets. We'll cut this one off right here. Then basically we'll start like getting the bottom of this frame cleaned up, because that way this could go somewhere in that general area somewhere. So I guess, and that's the thing, is we're gonna wire wheel all of this, so like you can see like all of this surface rust, all of that. So everything on here is gonna get wound up, getting cleaned. So I guess, ooh, I'll probably take that bracket off too. So I guess let's go ahead, move it, and start cutting. Okay, so I got a lot grinded. I'm not done yet. There's still a lot left to go. So what I'm just doing right now is we're just kind of mocking it all up. So I've got everything across the bottom grinded off right here, so they're cut off. I got the bracket up here. This still needs to be grinded. That needs to be grinded up right there and smooth that all out. One battery on the charger, the other one's, I don't know, it's probably like about halfway. Yeah, it's halfway. All right, so what I've been looking at is, like, right now the plate, I'm not gonna say the plate's centered because it's far from it. So let's go ahead. That's probably about centered right there. Motor is centered. All right, now here's where the problem is the chain does not line up. So basically that's here, sprocket's over something. So needless to say, we don't line up perfectly, which I kind of figured that. I mean, this is actually going to hit the frame, so we need to put the motor roughly about right there, which means the whole plate can go over, which we have some room. We got some wiggle room. We'll see in a minute. We might flip the plate over, give me more metal on this side. That'll put the holes this side. But what I'm thinking about doing is trying to get the motor as close to the frame as possible. It does kick out here, so basically, let's see here if we can set this up. So if I can get that about right here, that's straight back, it barely clears the frame, but then we're talking about the chain roughly laying about right there. So comes off the gear. Luckily this is, you know, flippable, so that way have the chain riding on the inside versus the outside. Goes straight back, but it falls about right here. So let's see here. This is what I've been thinking about doing. Is I can space this sprocket we're talking 1.25 inches, dead center, about 1.25 inches. So basically what I need to do is, you know, build a spacer and kick the gear, because the gear is hollow, so it can just come out. Is kick this gear, you know, and loosen all these bolts, and then bring this gear over, put a spacer in the back, long bolts. This thing's not going to be top speed, so it's not going to be flying, and space this thing over about 1.25 inches, and then that should keep this all lined up. Now there's a big difference though. I talked about this in the previous video. Like, that one has the gas tank on it. The gas tank won't fit underneath the frame, so we're still going to rock the original gas tank on top like that. So it'll just be running this gas tank, and we can, you know, plumb it in right there. So we can plumb it in, run the gas tank just like that. Not a big deal. Exhaust will go aftermarket, you know, something or other. I have the stock exhaust right there, then I have rest of the exhaust off the four-wheeler. We might be able to like fix something, I don't know. We've got all this stuff, so we got like plenty of room. So it's a work in progress. So I guess let's get back to more grinding, more cutting. Oh yeah, there's another thing. So this is a 35 chain on this. This is a 420 chain on this. So needless to say, we do need to buy a different clutch, because the chain is like, really, you know, I mean, here's the 35 chain, 420. I mean, big difference. So we can order the new clutch for this. They're like $15 or so off of Amazon. So that's something we got to do, because it's kind of hard to line it up. We're kind of gonna get a lot of it cut in this video and get it prepped before we really weld, because I need to get the new clutch and get the spacers built before we hard mount and weld a lot of this stuff in. So I guess let's just get to more grinding and see where it leads. Okay, so it still looks the same, basically. I haven't done no more grinding. I've sat here and just messed with the motor placement and all that kind of stuff. So I had the plate, the bottom plate, one way. So I flipped it the other way. So now basically, if you can see, like, you see how much room is from here, and then the other side, it's basically, I had the plate this way, which would kind of kick the motor this way. So now I flip the plate, move the motor that way, which basically slid the whole thing over a good 1/2 inch. So I'm a lot closer to what it is now. So instead of, like, you know, I need less of a spacer in here. So we're a lot closer, and basically the motor is now a lot more centered. I mean, it's a four-wheeler, so it's not like I'm worried about the off placement of weight, and this motor doesn't weigh that much anyways. But basically the motor fits a lot better in like this. Now what I've done is it's just slid all the way back. I still have to grind this, but when I flip the plate over, I needed to take this much off the front. So what is that, 1.25 inches, for it to fit the way I want it to, because basically if I left this on the front, it was kicking the plate too far back and didn't give me much room of adjustability, because I want to keep the center pole that's through here. So it needs to be so adjusted. What we're going to do is we're going to put the motor forward just so that gives me just enough room for that hole to be in front of this pole. So it needs to go, the whole motor needs to go forward about 1/4 inch, which still gives me room here, and it'll still keep it within the room that it needs to go. So this is like, it's perfect, but it's like barely perfect. Like I said, we got to cut this and trim that off back there. We're going to take the wheels off here in a minute and basically start cleaning up the frame some. We're going to go ahead, wire wheel the frame up. I also have, you know, so we're going to paint it with that. I have somewhere in here, so gloss enamel, engine enamel. Here, there we go. Rust reformer. So we'll spray that all over that, and this stuff works really good. So let's go ahead, get this thing, you know, the motor taken out, get the wheels off, and then we're just going to have the frame. We can start kind of cleaning a lot of this stuff up, because like I said, this all needs to get cleaned. Oh yeah, one other bad thing, which I mean is not a bad thing, is the brakes. So the rear brake, it kind of binds up because of the way the motor's placed. So we're going to have to go ahead and get an aftermarket brake cable for this thing, which isn't a big deal because a lot of these things kind of run the same brakes, because it goes through here. This one is like an engine brake, and then this one goes to the back brakes, and the brakes on this thing work. So we need to get a longer brake cable that we can either run over the motor and then just kind of or I could just take it out and run it over here myself. Never mind, I don't need a new brake cable. This one just runs underneath. We can undo it and then run it over and down. All right, but we still need to get this part off right here, which is part of the engine brake. We don't need that. So let's go ahead, take the motor out, clean it up, and we'll keep on rolling. Okay, so I've been grinding and cleaning and all this for a long time. So got the wheels off, got it flipped over, cleaned up the back bracket right here. This one ain't perfect, kind of, this is underneath, so I'm not stressed. A lot of this, that's going to be covered by the frame or the plastics, this and that. So most of the stuff that you're going to see is cleaned up. Like this one right here and here where the motor sits, they're cleaned up. The rest of it, it's good enough, because, you know, it's not going to be really exposed where you're going to see it. So I've went ahead and wire wheeled and cleaned up a lot of this stuff. So we're going to throw a rust reformer on this. I did notice as I was taking it apart, so I'm missing one cap that goes right there. You can find those on eBay, not a big deal. And only one wheel, I don't remember, I think it might have been this one, had all three bolts or all three nuts on it. So needless to say, I need to get a couple more of the nuts for this thing. Because, you know, got to make sure these wheels are on really good. We're going to wind up getting new wheels for these. They're dry rot as I don't know what. They are tubeless, but they're dry rotted and they don't hold air. So needless to say, we are going to be scooping up some new wheels for this real soonly. So this will probably take a coat or two of rust reformer to kind of get all over this thing. We're not going to bore the whole video with that. But like I said, I went over the whole frame, and basically I've got most, if not all, of the flaked off rust, all that kind of stuff. Got a lot of it. I mean, there were some areas that I just, you know, was going to town, you know, but again, I mean, like, all this stuff spins free, the brakes work, you know, all of this stuff spins. So, like, what's of it, well, I guess what's left of this right now, it actually is in pretty decent condition. So all the shocks, everything came off really easy. That's one thing with this, is I haven't had any bolts or anything like that that have not came off easily. So, you know, that's a good thing. So we need to get another cap off of eBay. I don't remember the price of those. I looked at it a while ago, just totally forgot until today. Need a new clutch, and then the rest is just putting it together, welding it. The tires I'm not stressed on right now. We'll get those. Main thing is clutch. That's the main thing. So we'll get that ordered here shortly. We'll just keep spraying this down with rust reformer, get it all completely covered, and then we'll go over the whole thing with just, you know, Rust-Oleum high gloss black, get this thing looking mint again. Of course, we're gonna have to wind up grinding this, so when I really get into the welding part, we'll clean this back up and get that back to bare metal, weld it up, but you know, get a lot of this rust cleaned off for now. So I guess we're gonna go ahead and end this video. I just wanted to get out, and I needed to work on this because my daughter actually is bugging me. So now I can go ahead and get this done. So phone's ringing. I guess I gotta answer that. We'll catch you in the next one.